Good morning, people in TV world. April 1st. We're going to have a little fun today. We've got a beautiful show. It's called Piss Poor Vermonter. And it's a true story about my life. And you ask yourselves why I do these shows. And it's actually therapy for me. The anticipation builds up for months. And I get frustrated. I need to let things go because no counselor will see you if you don't have good insurance. But today's show could be a little hurtful or upsetting to somebody, but let's just have fun with the political atmosphere. Everybody's stirred up, have a few laughs and jokes. In the end of the day, as citizens of the state of Vermont, the United States, let's just get along. It's not throwing garbage at the state of Vermont. I'm grateful I live in the state of Vermont. They help me with my bills, with my homestead property rebate, almost $4,000 a year, heating assistance of $1,200, food assistance of $187 a month. If I didn't get the help of the state of Vermont, I couldn't live here. But we are going to bash the system a little bit. So today's show, I'm actually going to dedicate this show to the LGBT community in Bellows Falls. This lantern was given to me years ago by a hard worker, worked at the railroad for years. So I thought the colors would be respectful for what's going on in Bellows Falls. I have friends of every sexual orientation, and they're my friends, so I felt as a former boxer, Golden Glove guy, I would stick up for them. So you're welcome in the community of Bellows Falls, the town of Rockingham, and I don't want anyone ever to fear for their safety in this community. But today's story, I'm going to start it off, is I was sued. And I have always learned to be my own attorney and advocate over the years. And actually, January 7th, 1997, I was a plaintiff in a lawsuit at the Newfane Courthouse. I'm not going to hash it all out today, but as a skeleton, I was re-triggered a little. I sued the Ben & Jerry Corporation in 1997, I think it was 28 years ago, because I was held off the ground 2 feet and assaulted with a board. And my boss lady made me work to 1:30 in the morning, and she says, "Do you want to have sex with me?" And I says, "No." And she says, "Then get your SHIT stuff and get out of here." And that was a job that the Department of Employment and Training in Springfield, Vermont sent me to. So somehow I didn't get no justice. Nobody ever apologized. But today, this Bible was given to me 36 years ago. And before I went to court, I put my hand on the Bible and I said, "God, help me just to defend myself and do the best I could." So anyways, I now wasn't a plaintiff, a person suing someone. I was a defendant. I had to defend myself that I was poor in the state of Vermont. And what happened was, years ago, I had a Shell credit card. And I was on disability 7 years. Which I'm still on 100% government disability. I couldn't pay them. So I stopped paying. I defaulted on the debt. Well, in 2022, the state of Missouri, which I kind of laugh, sold my debt to this ding-dong company called Calvary LLCC. It's a collection agency in Texas, one of the biggest one, and they come after me for the past debt that wasn't even owed to them, it was owed to Shell Card. Mr. Shell found it in his heart to forgive me for my debt as I forgave other people in my life for other debts. But anyways, this LLCC, one of these biggest collection thing, wanted their money. So I get an attorney from Greenwich, Connecticut. She calls. She says, "Mr. Reese, you owe some money." And I says, "Cease and desist. I have no money. I'm poor. I'm on disability. I have nothing." She says, "No way, no way." So we end up going to court. We went to court February 10th, 2025. Being the poor guy I am, I says, I got to represent myself. I got no money. I'm going to just tell the truth to the judge. So this is where we begin the story. I showed up at the courthouse with a Ritz cardboard cracker box with my exhibits for the judge. I get to the courthouse, I kept track of my mileage, and nice guy, sheriff, he wands me, checks everything out. He says, any chemicals in this? And I says, no, sir. And he says, okay, go ahead and sit in the conference room. So I sat in the conference room probably a half an hour by myself, and I met a local resident, lived in Bellows Falls, was a maintenance man now, and we laughed and joked. And I says, all right, I'll just sit here. So I have no napkins at the house. That's how poor I was. So they had a bunch of napkins there. You know, like when you go to Dunkin' Donuts, you like grab extra napkins for your house. Well, they had some napkins there. And I said, God, maybe I'll just steal them from the Newfane courthouse. And then I said, you know, that's pretty stupid to steal something from the courthouse. So I put the napkins back. So now he comes and gets me, and we go upstairs. The history of the building's kind of neat because I hadn't been there since I tried suing Ben & Jerry's in 1997, and I didn't really want to get re-triggered. So the guy up there, the sheriff, was really nice, and I look to my left, and assistant judge has a platform. It's Monty Barnett, and to the right, there's another assistant judge, Caroline Partridge. So I knew both of them, and I didn't know if they were going to hear the case. So now I got the same Red Sox uniform on. I got all my exhibits there. And out comes the judge. And the man yells out, all rise for the Honorable Judge Rachel Malone. So I rise up for her. And then she says, please be seated. And then she says, is the plaintiff here, the one that's suing me? Well, they never showed up. I wanted them to drive up from Connecticut and meet me at the courthouse because they told me to be at the courthouse. So anyways, I sit down and she says, well, Mr. Reese, I'm going to dismiss this and they never can bother you again or bring this up. So I says, Your Honor, can I speak and tell you like how poor I am? And she says, go ahead. So this is a true story. So before I tell you, today I had that pot pie spinach. Gives you that extra boost of energy. It's pot pie energy. So I says, you know what, I'm ready. So I get to the judge and I says, Your Honor, last month, at the end of the month, I had no food. I had Raisin Bran cereal, so I had $1.89. I bought this Hood's Milk to finish off my Raisin Bran cereal, Your Honor. Then I showed her I had one potato left, and I brought the potato in my bag. I says, I make French fries, homemade French fries, and boy, are they good. And I had one potato left to the end of the month. Then I would go over to Shaw's, and I get the reduced bread, 50% off, and I had 2 slices left. And this is the truth. And it was $1.49. That's what I had. So then I told the judge, I took my money out of the piggy bank. I had 43 cents. And this is a law firm, Greenwich, Connecticut, Massachusetts. They want to sue me. 43 cents, okay? Checking and savings account, $22.75. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. To the end of March, I told the judge on the EBT food assistance card, I had $67.12. And even to make it worse, this is how crazy it was. To make it worse, the last day of the month, there was no food in the house. And my good friend called. She says, Paul, the Drewsville store offers you could get a free sandwich. And I had to humble myself. I drove over there and I says, I'll come back and give you guys like $20 when I get paid at the end of the month. Well, I showed the judge that I had a free sandwich from the store. But I guess this outfit from Greenwich, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Calvary LLCC that bought my debt, I kind of laugh about it. So I did a little research. I says, they bought a bulk of debt, maybe millions of dollars of debt. They never said what they paid for. So I looked up in the book where Missouri was in this atlas, because I'd never been to Missouri. And then the Massachusetts, thank God I don't live in Massachusetts. It's actually too hard to spell. At least Vermonter can just put VT. Well, anyways, at the end of the day, the judge dismissed the case. And I says, Your Honor, they keep harassing me for a year. And I says, and she says, no, they will never be able to bring this up. So I went home and I was still fuming a little bit. So I says, you know what? I says, I'm sending them a bill for wasting my time. They didn't even have a right decency to show up in court to challenge me. So I mailed the law firm in Greenwich, Connecticut. I only been through there once, and there's like big houses and stuff, and she lives, I guess, has a suite, whatever a suite is, or a condo, and somebody told me a pair of man's socks cost $110 there. But I mailed them a bill for $87.52 because I drove, I think, 62 miles. I had to mail stuff to the court and that, and I could use that $87 for food. So at the end of the day, I told them if they don't pay their bill to me, in 30 days, I would countersue them in federal court because I checked on my court paperwork that I would sue them for violation of my United States disability rights because I didn't believe I had to pay them anything because I'm on a fixed income. And I don't know if you've ever survived sometimes. I understand the poor better now. But these little sandwiches are my mini sandwiches. You know, peanut butter. But you know what? I'm happy I got peanut butter because a lot of people don't have no food in this country. And peanut butter and $1.49 bread got me by. Sometimes I call it a wish sandwich. Sometimes you wish you had like meat and different things to put in it, but sometimes you have no money, so you can't do anything. So that's enough about the court story. I'll tell you some funny little jokes. When my family was from Fall River, Massachusetts, my dad would take us down there and kind of laugh. He said, if you ain't got no brains, you ain't got no job, you ain't got no money, put the cement shoes on and take the bridge. Oh, geez, they would say that to their own daughter. And I said, you know what? I took a bridge one time. I jumped off the Williams River Bridge, and it wasn't too good. It wasn't with cement shoes. I said, I wouldn't recommend jumping off a bridge to anyone. Then, another little funny couple little props here we'll have some fun with. This little one here, at 61, maybe I can make some money, you know, but I'm a little too old to dance at like the Pink Pony Club. I don't think anyone wants to see some 61-year-old guy dancing at the Pony Club. Then I watched the state of Vermont. They says, oh boy, I was watching on the news, says 61% of Vermonters are alcoholics. They drink. The national average is 50%. Well, I'll tell you what, I believe this town of Bellows Falls is more like 80%. With the budget the way it is, I actually used to drink Labatt's. I call myself like a part-time alcoholic, but one of my alcoholic friends told me to go to a Natty Daddy. I can pick up a Natty Daddy for $1.25 at 5 Star, so I try to keep away from it, but once in a while I have to numb my pain to deal with life. That's my like medical survival medicine. Now I'm going to tell you another true story. I wanted to get my medication. I won't say what pharmacy or anything, but I went to get my medicine. They called and they says, come on, pick up your blood pressure medicine and oxybutynin to help you pee when you got prostate issues. So I said, how much is it? Because I have no money. I have to go when I get money once a month. The fourth Wednesday of the month, the disability check comes in. So anyways, I get down there. She says, well, we're looking at $362.48. $362.48. My exhaust don't work on the car. The wash machine still don't work. I said, I don't got that kind of money. Mail it back. Mail it back. She said, hold on a minute. So they come back and they said, how about 15 bucks? So you know what? I saved a lot of money by standing up for myself. So every American needs to stand up for themselves. Bernie Sanders and all of you guys gotta tone it down. Calm down. You guys getting so excited. I have to take blood pressure medicine sometimes when I get too wound up. So if you guys need some of this, I could cut half the pill and share it. I used to have this Medicare type thing, and then I had United Healthcare. They moved right out of the state of Vermont. I guess they couldn't make no money. There was no doctors here and no business because there's no paying customers. You know, nobody's got no money. So then I get this other one. I guess it's Humana or Humera, and I want to make a counseling appointment. They don't take it. They don't take United Healthcare. So I have no counselor unless you have $100 in your pocket or when you're piss poor Vermonter, you got to do what you got to do. You become your own doctor. So I go on YouTube and kind of learn medical procedure. And when I was at my family years ago, we had it's called our own Vermont medical kit. And when I needed stitches years ago in my hand, you had to use duct tape to try to seal up the big wound. But if you couldn't, you had to stitch it. So you always keep in your pocket duct tape. And then if you're a little sissy and you start crying because it hurts, you got Kleenex to help you get through the trauma. Then my doctor's office called and they said, Mr. Reese, I think it's time for a physical. And I says, I don't got this money for the physical. I said, I just barely got money for the blood work. So, you know, sometimes you have to have rubber gloves, give yourself your own physical. So I says, no, I'm all set. I'll just give myself a physical. And they laughed and everyone hung up. But that's a true story. I have another friend, needed stitches. Some people use fish line, but this is dental floss. Dental floss. And you can stitch yourself up with this, with a little sewing thread, and just make sure you use peroxide. But that does work. I had a severe nasal type infection this year I couldn't get rid of. So I went over to Job Lots, got this little salsa bottle, used up the salsa, and I went on YouTube, my YouTube doctors, and you put warm salt water in it. And you shoot it up a nasal, and you know what? It freed it up. I could breathe because I broke my nose so many times over the years. And I have to be careful with a nasal type blockage, so I could breathe. So that's that. And here's some little Band-Aids that you always keep in your kit for the little wounds. So that's a little bit on the medical thing. When you talk about money, where to invest your money, I get 1 cent a month. And they've changed my address from the bank when they mail it. It just says, piss poor customer, 32 Recircle. And they know it's me because I'm the guy that has no money. We're having a little fun. And the medical thing, when I go to the dentist, I always say, geez, don't give me too big a bill, and $195, I just barely pay you that. So I says, no x-rays, no that. I said, I'll fix my teeth myself. So I went out in the garage and took a mouth guard. And you look how it costs $25,000 to get dental implants. You can chew your food when you're 70, 80. Get a mouth guard, get some screws. Don't set the screws in your jaw. Just set them in a mouth guard. Then you set the mouth guard right in your mouth. Rah, 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 rah. You can chew your sandwich up to get by when you're 70 and 80. Save yourself $25,000. So I'm gonna make my own teeth like George Washington did years ago. Use animal teeth, wooden teeth. Who cares at that point? At 61, maybe I'll die tomorrow, who knows? When my exhaust went today in the car, I have no money until May to fix it. So I just turn up the radio and you don't hear the exhaust, roll the window down so you don't get that carbon stuff, monoxide, and die. All right, now we're getting towards the end of the program. I see Donald Trump, man. You're stirring up some stuff, but I have to admit I voted for you, and people are yelling at me because I voted for you, but I didn't like what they did to my friend Bobby Kennedy. So anyways, you got some gold water faucets at Trump Palace or whatever in New York. My shower unit downstairs has been broken for about 2 years, and it's just plastic. So between you and Elon Musk, maybe you can come up like $300 so I can hire a plumber to fix it. It's just, it needs a little thing. I don't know what it's called, if it's a Simmons or a Monin or something, but I need that part. I'm saving my money for that. I also need a new wash machine. It's in a kid's swimming pool. It's been leaking for over a year, but the key is with that, maybe you're gonna send that $5,000 Doge stimulus thing. I could use it, even like $1,500 to fix this stuff. All right, there's a real sad situation that happened in Bellows Falls. Dollface, my beloved girlfriend, passed away. All that was found of her was her hand, very furry or hairy. Her leg was very hairy. There was a razor found nearby the death. We're not sure what happened. She could have been shaving her legs down near the Putney Brattleboro area. near the railroad tracks. Near the railroad tracks, you could see where the train did kind of take a dirt road. We're not sure if it took the dirt road when it saw her or what. But the Massachusetts State Police are helping with this investigation. Just like the Karen Reed investigation. Watch that one. They're looking over the evidence, and it looks like the evidence means Dollface could have died at the Bellows Falls train station. Because I read this article, it says Stone Consulting Group says it's a threat. It's a threat to indoor quality. It's above safe levels. So God, maybe the door should be closed down there so nobody gets poisoned. I don't know. All right, now we're getting towards the end. And once again, I wanted to meet a young lady since Dollface died. Years ago, I had this good cologne my kids got me. It was called Polo, but it's real expensive, so I put it on my Christmas request list because it's like $60, but it's good stuff. But I can't attract no woman at 61. So then I says, being the genius that I am, I says, maybe I'll, like deer, use deer urine to attract deer, to attract coyotes. So I says, how about you take this new stuff called like Vermont's perfume, and we'll call it piss poor perfume. And you like take it and spray it all over. It's like urine, and you spray it. And maybe I could attract a mate that wanted me, just like a deer wanting a deer. But the only thing now, to make it a little funny, we got that Paul Reese Jackass Award. We hadn't awarded anyone 2025. So we have that award we're giving out, and we're giving out the Slick Willie Award, this slippery, slimy snake from Texas. I went on the internet, and it said that Texas had 62 snakes. Well, I believe they have 63 snakes, and it's called the credit card industry. And I'm going to award the 2025 Jackass Award and the 2025 Slick Willie Award to Calvary LLCC Collection Agency out of Texas, along with the rest of them. Stop the games of the slime ball operations and stop putting liens against people's property and stealing people's houses. 6 out of 10 homes are now being stolen by these credit card things. So I thank you again for all that watched this show. I hope you had a few laughs. It helped me to heal. And God bless you all. And let's just have a good year and try to get along. Thank you very much. Thumbs up to everybody.